All right, everyone, welcome in. Betsperts Golf here for our second look at Torrey Pines South here. Little Super Bowl hangover. It should be a national holiday, Ron. We should not be working today. Super Bowl should be on Saturday. One of the two, right? We either need to move it to the Saturday so we can recover on Sunday, or today needs to be a national holiday. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, yeah. I mean, I kind of agree. I guess working from home, I guess we kind of have it made more than other folks who are at the office right now. But
That is the truth. So yeah, I will
yeah,
back that up.
I'm
That's
I'm
true.
just happy we've had so much snow and weather here, so I'm just happy the kids are back in school and get some peace and quiet. But yeah, yesterday was a busy day. Mr. Thomas Dietrich kind of shook some of his Sunday demons, and it's just really good to see him finally pull through. And he's one of the prettiest swings on tour. Like I would say, him and Adam Scott, as righties, doesn't get any better than that. And yeah, he's got all the tools, and to see him kind of put it together for the first three rounds and then actually close it out like he did, with all those chasers and a lot of big names behind him, but he just would not give an inch.
Yeah, no, he played really well. I think getting out to such a strong start too, was just kind of, I think, quelled any concerns. And like you said, it was an interesting leaderboard. Spieth back in the mix. We had some Spieth Magic Bean, stuff going on too. I think it's just always exciting when Jordan's in the mix. Scotty fell back a couple of different times. But lots of good contenders there, and another great week. Signature event. Obviously unfortunate with everything that happened in Southern California in the last month or so that people lost a lot more than us just losing to see Riviera this year, but it is moving forward for us, is a bummer to not have Riv on the schedule this year. So pivot back to a preview that we just did a couple weeks ago. We are back at Torrey Pines, where we just were for the Farmers Insurance Open just a matter of weeks ago, this time with the signature event field, and this time with all four rounds on the South course. What other changes, Ron, should we be looking for, if any at all, from what we just saw a couple weeks ago at the Farmers?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot different. Like you said, we're not using the North course. It's the Torrey Pines we've come to expect. I think long and straight. As we saw a few weeks ago, it's not only a description for most of the holes on this course, but also the strategy that you need to have success here. We saw Harris English, who kind of has a track record on tough courses, and I think that's definitely one thing people just kind of need to emphasize again is, and obviously we have a strong field this week, signature event. We have the best players in the world. So, there's only 72 players in this field. So we're looking at a relatively small field here. But yeah, I think, guys who are long off the tee, and, we've seen plenty of bombers. We've also seen guys with excellent short games, and Harris English is kind of a little combination between those two types of players. But 8 under par is what he won at. And, I know we're a few weeks past the Farmers, and I know it was a lot drier in that part of Southern California than it had been in recent years. So interesting to see how that continues to play out this week. But again, I haven't checked the weather yet, but again, coastal breezes, weather can definitely play a part this week. But yeah, again, with everybody playing except Xander, pretty much the only one not here. Again, there's a lot of enthusiasm for Rory and how his game's looking, and obviously Scotty, probably chomping at the bit to get back, and a lot of good value on the board. So interesting to see kind of how this week plays out.
Yeah, tough to not have Xander here. Obviously, hometown-ish, events. Every time we were here in the past when he would tee it up at the Farmers, definitely a place that suits his game very well. Long and straight, long irons, all that stuff would bode well for Xander, but obviously still trying to get healthy here. You can see the odds board here from FanDuel. And obviously on a Monday morning, highly recommend shopping around. There's definitely, some discrepancy between prices. And again, it all matters, right? You want to, over long term, get the best of the number as much as possible. Scotty again at the top, plus 350. Again, just mind boggling. But again, if we're being honest, like at no point really, maybe for a little bit there on the front nine with his irons on Sunday, he was pretty dialed in. but Scotty was just in the mix with his absolute C+ game. And that's the terrifying part, is that the C+ game can just consistently contend. When you get the A game, that stuff is just impossible to beat. So plus 350. Rory being twice that is interesting. It's 7-1. Colin 14. And again, a lot of these guys opted out of the Farmers, but they do typically play here. So we do have a little bit of course history here. Decky at 22, Ludwig at 25, JT 25 as well. You see Sanjay, nice finish here a couple weeks ago. Obviously, Sanjay just plays every week, so we know Sanjay was here. Patrick Cantley and Tom Kim right there at 33. Spieth back on the board in the mix, kind of where he typically has been in the last year or so. 40 range, along with Jason Day, who was a popular click at Farmers. Lowry, Tommy in that range as well. You can drop down a little bit into the 40-50 range, and you see some other names that are pretty interesting price-wise, as Ron said, like, some longer prices down here. Harris English just a winner here a couple weeks ago. Obviously, caveat of a massively different field at 60. But yeah, there's definitely some value down the board, which you're going to get anytime Scotty and Rory, or basically in a signature event, you're going to get some really good golfers that are down here in the 70 to 100 range for sure. You see where's the bottom?
Yeah, it goes. I mean, you got Max Elma sitting there at 150. That's just, I've never thought I would see that a year ago, but here we are.
Yeah. A place he's won before. Eldrick is in the fields, which should be, again, coming off of, no football. This is another spot where, why Riv in the spot is fantastic, because it's one of our best courses in this country. It was always a great place to showcase this. But again, Tiger in the field is obviously good for the game and good for ratings. So hopefully we get through. But this is a cut event, correct, Ron? I believe this is compared to some of the other signature events. This is one of the cut events, so we don't necessarily get Tiger on the weekend for sure.
Yeah. Is it? Well, I'm gonna check on that, because I know.
Okay, I thought it was, but
last year it was.
Yeah.
I'm reading here it's a no cut, unless I'm looking. Yeah, so
okay.
I'm looking at yeah, this is the San Diego news site, limited field signature event with no cut. So
okay.
Yeah, and I think Tiger would have much preferred playing at Riviera compared to this course, where it's just a brute of a course to walk. So that will be interesting. But yeah, we've seen him on TGL, obviously, and just seeing him out here, obviously 4 full rounds, and hopefully he can get through it. And man, if he can just get near that top page of the leaderboard, I think add even more intrigue to this week.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that'd be absolutely incredible. So hoping we get that. Yeah, to check on that. But that says no cut. I just remember, I don't know if that changed from this year to last year with some of the other. It was like Genesis, API, and Memorial, I believe, were the signature events with cuts. But maybe that's different for this year. So Tiger on the weekend would be great either way. So, but definitely some value on the board here. We look at it. We obviously on our course sheet.
And actually, that site was wrong. I'm looking at, this is a cut event after 36 holes. So the low 50 and ties, plus anyone within 10 shots of the lead. So it's a little different, but there's
Masters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. I thought so. That makes sense. So I believe, I'm assuming API and Memorial will be the same in terms of what they did last year with the signature events. So our course stats sheet is updated with obviously 2025 Torrey Pines data. I'm either going to go into this. We'll have to reset this, because I think it's going to default to Riviera for you. But if you go here to Torrey Pines South, you're going to get the information that already includes the Farmers. So, which is really good to see, but kind of in line. If you look at all the other stuff that's happened here, this is driver heavy. Just again, a couple weeks ago, 79.4% of all tee shots were driver, solid 12% above tour average. So we are definitely a driver heavy event. You can see you get more 320 plus, but we're getting a little bit more. I think carry is something that carry distance matters a lot here comparatively, because we have that thick rough. So you're not getting quite as much run out here. You can see fairways happening at about 10-11% less than the tour average event as well. Same thing, good drive percentage, lower. Even though you're carrying the distance, holding these really small greens is definitely a challenge as well. So that's definitely an interesting thing. You're looking from the distance from the edge of the fairway, again, significantly higher than tour average events too, which is tough. And these are narrow greens with some real thick rough. Still, we're looking at about 4 inches, right?
Yep. Same as it was. I think pretty much the entire course is going to be what it played. I know
Okay.
obviously Riviera plays a lot different as far as the rough's a lot lighter. But yeah, we're kind of taking on just full Torrey Pines this week.
Yep. So you've been with us since Torrey Pines, since we did this, the Farmers Insurance. You can go into your model and basically just copy. You can go into your save rankings here, your create mixed condition model, grab any of your old models, show this to folks. If you're subscribing and want to do it, you can go down to your other model that you had. So you got a bunch of more models here. Torrey South. You hit this little copy button. It'll pop it right back up into your section to mess around with weights. If you want to add any new stats, if you didn't like how the model performs, you want to mess around with it. You don't have to build a new one. It's already there for you, which is nice and easy. From an approach standpoint, you can see greens in regulation about 7% below a PGA Tour average event. And greens and reg had this previous, even significantly less than other years, which is interesting to see. You can see this is dropped off pretty significantly. So that's definitely interesting to see. We had a little bit of weather, but nothing that was like absolutely crazy last time we were here. Greens and reg from the fairway way lower too. It's definitely interesting to see. Going for the green percentage again, it's hard to be aggressive here because again, if you were not in the fairway, it's a little tougher. But even so, it's just these par fives are mostly 3-shot holes, right? Because you're so long, right? And 18 jumps out because you can go for it occasionally depending on where you are. But man, that's a tough one because that water's right there waiting for you.
Yeah, par fives are a little tougher than average. The par fours and the threes are the most difficult parts on this course, though. So definitely want to take advantage of the par fives.
You can see par five, birdie or better rate, still significantly lower than the tour average. And this year's Farmers was below the 5-year rolling trend for Torrey as well. Ron touched on here the par 4 scoring being really challenging. You can see how low the par 4 birdie rate is, scoring average continuing to climb on the par 4s. And you can see again how low the par 3 birdie rate is as well. And that scoring was up this year as well. So again, this year's run at 1 at 8 under. We had seen low teens for the most part. So it's not going to be a spot where we're going to be getting to 20. I think even with a strong field. So definitely an interesting week to have this much data, basically running it back off of a previous week. So what do we want to look at here in the rabbit hole?
Yeah, I think off the tee, like we talked about before, is in kind of our thing with, being able to kind of shift over to, instead of driving distance, look at carry distance. Obviously distance from edge of the fairway, kind of taking that whole long and straight theme, total driving, if some people prefer to look at that. But we have all that stuff in the off the tee menu. So, I think that's going to be a big focus for me. Just players who can, stay out of the rough, attack on that second shot. And then it's going to be a matter of finding, who the best long iron players are. And so it's kind of a puzzle this week. And you're just trying to, put those pieces together. Definite huge course fit week with a lot of these guys. And, that's why I was a little upset with myself for not being more on Harris English, a few weeks ago here, because, he finished, I think, 3rd here a few years back. And, he just kind of thrives on these types of difficult conditions. And he pretty much said as much. He loves it when it's tough. And, it's looking like this probably be another week like that.
Yep. Yeah, definitely a difficult scoring week, spot where we can use the rabbit hole to weed out some of the easier stuff. I want to look at all the off the tee stuff through the lens of driver heavy, because we saw we're like 10, 12% above average, which I think, matters quite a bit. So let's see what we get if we back out. Probably a pretty decent sample. Yeah, maybe even a little too big. Look, the last 12 months off the tee, we'll look driver heavy. We'll look at, I think carry distance matters. I think driving distance matters too, but I think you can look at the guys where there's a discrepancy between, carry and guys who get a lot of rollout. Rasmus was on Rasmus last week, teased me, but felt like it was a good handicap. There's a lot of upside there. We just don't have a lot. He's not a guy that's going to model well because we just don't have a lot of his DP World Tour data in here, but the guy hits it a mile. Minwoo Lee, Rory, Woodland, Benny Ann, Pendrith, Wyndham Clark. Spieth continues to add distance, just interesting to see. Sam Stevens finished obviously very well here last week. Disappointment last week, or finished well here last time. Disappointment last week at Waste Management. Cam Young, Ludwig, and Steven Yeager. You can see Scotty's not too far behind. You can see where some of the gap. And again, it's better to put this into a CSV, break it out, look at the average versus their baseline driving distance, average, and carry distance. But those are the carry distance guys. Distance from the edge of the fairway. I think looking at guys that have a nice carry distance that maybe aren't red. Rory, that's
a little surprising, but he's pulling it together, man.
He's putting it together, which is terrifying. I've been trying to warn Andy, who is a somewhat of a noted Rory hater. It might be a tough year to be a Rory hater. A couple of really big spots that set up well for Roars this year. Real golf over sim golf for Rory, it looks like these days. Ludwig right there as well. Scotty Scheffler, best player in the world, number one distance from the edge of the fairway. Again, that makes sense. JT also maybe a little bit interesting. Shane Lowry, Keegan, Tommy, all faring well right there too. And then obviously your defending champ from last week, Thomas Dietrich, faring well in both of those as well, along with Victor Hovland, who is always tempting and terrifying at the same time. And again, when you're looking at rank, which we're doing here, this could be very minimal comparatively. So definitely look at the average whenever you want to look at that too. Just again, strokes gained off the tee, driver heavy. Minwoo Lee, Rory, Spieth, Scotty, Ludwig, Berger playing really good golf. I don't think this is a great setup for Berger, but as Berger gets back into form before we head to Florida, it's probably pretty interesting. Someone we probably want to have on our radar for PGA National and some other spots that typically have been pretty pro Berger. He seems to be getting healthy. Benny Ann, Pendrith, Cam Young, Sam Burns are your top of the board from a strokes gained off the tee standpoint. So, all right, let's look at who's played well on longer, tougher golf courses. There's a handful of ways that we could do this. Long, very long, difficult, very difficult scoring, ball striking, long rough. I think approaches and small greens, just kind of looking back at some of my notes on what we looked at for Torrey South. But let's look at long, very long golf courses, because I think that tells us a pretty important story.
I think Spieth, just really quick, Spieth's going to be interesting for me this week because, he said in the past he doesn't like this course. Obviously, in the past he's been more of a finesse player, it seems. But when you look at that added distance, it's going to be interesting to see, how he holds up this week if he can continue this strong play.
Yeah, it's just good to see he's healthy. I mean, obviously he was battling that wrist for a pretty good while, and I think where it was impacting him a lot was taking away some of the things that make him special. So, all right, strokes gained total. Look at ball striking after as well. Last 12 months, long, very long golf courses. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Hideki Matsuyama, Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley, not someone you would expect to be here. Long, very long. Taylor Pendrith, Ludwig, Dietrich, Connors, Sanjay. You can see Novak right here too. Again, Novak and Sanjay fared well last time they were here. Tommy is definitely longer off the tee than people think. That bodes well. Dickie asking thoughts on Tommy's price. It's appealing. I'll be honest. I haven't made any bets this morning. I have a bet I think 2 bets I'm definitely making, just waiting for all books to get involved. Tommy at around 40 is interesting to me. He just doesn't win golf tournaments. So it's really hard. And I know that's, I guess not forward thinking because he's a damn good golfer, but I I like Tommy. I think it's a great fit for Tommy. Tommy top 10 for, a shorter price. Tommy for something like that you could sell me on, but Tommy winning is a tough click for me to make, even at 40 or so.
Yeah, he's
So any
only
thoughts on Tommy?
yeah, he's only played here once, and I think that's another thing for people to look at is the 2021 U.S. Open was here, and so
Yep.
it's probably the best replication of that because Farmers has kind of had an off and on field as far as strength goes over the years, but that was a year where obviously you had a full field, you had 156 golfers, but half of that this year, but a lot of the same guys are back this year as far as field strength goes. So he was 50th. I think obviously he prefers shorter courses, but he's proven he can play anywhere, especially some of those tough courses over in Europe. He's played longer courses, plenty of experience. I was for me, just looking back at the Farmers leaderboard from a few weeks ago, just a few names, just Sung Jae finished fourth,
Yep.
and then Taylor Pendrith, who's a guy who's had a couple kind of back-to-back good performances here at Torrey Pines. So those are a couple other guys I'm definitely keeping an eye on.
Yep, for sure. Here's just looking at Tommy's player page here. Again, he's a world-class player. So we're getting a lot of green here for sure. POA, because we have unique, small sample, only 8 rounds, but Tommy, pretty good putter always. Although this is a pretty interesting Bermuda drop here.
Why don't you go put that up to like 3 or 5 years and let's see if what his numbers look like over time on some of these courses, especially oh wow, okay, I've proven me wrong very well in long course.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, difficult and long is his best spot. Yeah, he hits it pretty far. Not a guy that looks like he hits it far. Kind of like JT, like they are like 155 pounds soaking wet, but like that club head speed at the bottom is definitely interesting to see. Not again massive sample, so which is good to see, but an above average, not elite long iron player, but again, I think he wins off the tee quite a bit here. The ball striking is obviously good form. You can see here, we'll find that at U.S. Open. Should be able to find it, right?
Yeah, it should be in there for 21. Yep.
Yeah, so there's 50. Tee to green struggled a little bit. I really struggled everywhere. Putted well, though, which is good to see. Made the cut, obviously, so this is 4 rounds. So nothing was really dialed in. Looks like he saved himself quite a bit with the putter. But again, 4 round sample, pretty small. But again, a guy who's played U.S. Opens decently well throughout his career, right? I mean, a couple of top 5 finishes here at the U.S. Open. Similar, this is a U.S. Open track. We have U.S. Open set up this week in terms of, length, rough, those types of things. So I do think looking at that type of stuff does help this week a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm not sleeping on. I know you mentioned him in the Open, but Victor Hovland. He was supposed to be in the field last week. He took the week off. I think he's at the stage where he's kind of in tinker, just as far as his game goes. Like if he doesn't feel something's right, he's going to take the next week off. And I like that because I'd rather back someone who's coming into this week who, and even when you look at his what he did at Pebble Beach, he was positive ball striking. He gained a whole stroke ball striking, finished 22nd. It was a short game. And, I was looking at his player page and, if you look at, his rolling summary, I mean, his ball striking is good. It's just the around the green stuff. And even if you go back and look at, let's see if it was, I think it was, 2021, not the U.S. Open, but the regular Farmers where he finished second here. He lost strokes around the green, but he still finished second. So I'm definitely going to take a deeper look into Hovland for this week.
I was in at 30 in my mind. I wanted a 30 on Hovland, 35 on Hovland. So I like where the board is currently. Very, very comfortable with that. So again, just kind of shopping and waiting. But yeah, I mean the ball striking is still fine. I think we've seen it, we've heard it with these guys too. When you have this around the green rough like this with thicker aprons and stuff like that, it's just a little bit easier for these guys to manage versus picking it clean off of the short stuff. And we're getting a lot of that here this week as well. So Another guy. Let's pull out his U.S. Opens. Let's just get normal stuff. Even the ball striking is just, it's always pretty good. We have a lot of long iron play this week. And again, Ron's done a great job with this work here. This is the level of green here is in relation to field average. So dark green is telling you a pretty interesting story about Victor Hovland here this week. Dave in the chat, Wyndham Clark at 100. Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when Scotty's in the field. You get these absolute crazy numbers, right? So that's one of them. Wyndham kind of fell apart a little bit there, obviously. Hits the ball at absolute country mile. As we saw, he was in the top 10 there and carry distance. Just he set up that fade to keep himself in play where he's just not losing it too much. Otherwise he's going to be playing out of the rough quite a bit. But again, an insane wedge player, a great putter. So definitely some longer odds for sure that are of interest. So ball striking long, very long over the last year or so, which I think matters really what we're trying to tell, I think, through that lens. Scotty, Rory, Connors, Finau, Decky, Ludwig, Novak again, great. Yeah, again, small-ish sample, but not a full sample. Decent. Gary Woodland, Colin, Siwoo, and Berger again right there. And there's Hovland as we were touching on. So definitely interesting to take a look at that.
Speaking of, just really quick, speaking of Novak, we've got him officially down the rabbit hole now. So he was pretty fascinated to see some of the stuff on his player page as far as his putting splits, and so yeah, I think we've got a few guys, a few PGA players down here every week looking at their stuff. So if they're using it, we're showing you right now just again how you can use this, whether it's building models, whether it's just looking at some of this data. It's kind of fascinating how like this week where you can break it down and we can look at and try to almost build Torrey Pines with how we're modeling as far as long and difficult. And then obviously we get into all the rough stuff too.
Absolutely. Yep. We're proud of that we've tour players, lots of people that you listen to and watch, even on broadcasts are kicking around in here to help support the work that they do to get better data. So yeah, to Ron's point, like, the ability to model is fantastic. We're aware that term and the process of it is intimidating to some of you. That's why we have the section here where you can go in and view expert rankings and look at other folks' models. If that's just something that you want to do, that is here for you as well. Or you can just kind of kick around, read Ron's preview, look at some of the key stats, and just if you have some numbers that jump out to you, like David here, like sees Wyndham Clark at 100, wants to bet that. You can kind of kick around, look at Wyndham's player page, look at some of these key filters and see where he shows up in that. Again, you don't have to use it to model. It is just a great spot to get the most accurate data that can help you. So, again, you're playing a ton of DFS too, can help you, break down your player pool. We do have optimizers, lots of other tools. We spend a ton of time in the rabbit hole, but on a Tuesday afternoon, you'll get a custom simulation for the entire event. You'll get stuff that you can look at for matchups, an optimizer that can really help. You can set lots of rules. It can help you enter all your DFS tournaments, along with obviously the course database and the cheat sheet if you want to look at course history and all that other stuff. So lots of different stuff here, not just the rabbit hole. All right, we looked at ball striking and strokes gained total on long, very long golf courses. Let's also look at difficult scoring conditions because that's what we have here too. Again, Harris won here, 8 under. We typically are seeing low to mid teens, which I think we'll have here again. Let's look at that. We'll mix around with our sample, kick this back a little bit. Let's look at the last 2 years. Difficult and very difficult. So we're pulling out anything that was average or easy. When the test is hard, who does well? And getting a good sample here, especially with the tour, the top of the board, these type of players, they're playing a lot of golf on courses that meet this criteria. Let's look at average here. Let's see where people really separate. And we're going to have Scotty Scheffler at the top, and he's lapping the field, almost a full stroke above Rory, which is just, again, a large sample. But He's really good. Scotty, Rory, Decky, Ludwig, Victor, Cantley, Russell Henley, Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa, Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry. This Max sample is definitely grabbing some golf that looks different than what Max is doing right now. Unfortunately, a big fan of Max and his game. Would love to see it get back on board, but on the struggle bus right now, it's hard to
bring
hard to
up.
see.
Just look at his player page really quick. I want to, because this is one of the things where, when you look at that rolling summary, and you can really look at this to tell, who's currently struggling as far as where their baseline kind of was. I'm assuming we're going to see a whole bunch of red on top. Go down to the next rolling section, and that will show kind of his strokes gain categories there. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's killing some of the last 200 and last 100 even. I mean, this is a large sample of just tough play. Ball striking approach. I mean, new clubs, new swing.
New baby.
New baby. Yeah. New clothing line, sponsor. It's all going poorly. Now, the driver was bad. That was a lot of the problem last year. Seems to have done some work there that seems to be going a little bit better, but
approach is
this tells you how bad it was, basically. So this last 12 is doing a lot of work and carrying this last 24 and 50 to even be there. So it's just been a rough string. When you look at where he was last year in terms of previous years, in the last couple of years where he was really, really competitive. 9 top 10s the year before, 11 top 20s last year, just 5 top 20s. Top 40 in just 50% of his starts after hovering around 3 out of every 4 the year before. So just a slide for Max, and hopefully he figures it out. But for him to struggle like that at Phoenix, a place where got a lot of reps, that's a tough watch. So losing 2.5 on approach is not good enough. Not going to contend at all. So it's a big number, but still, I'm going to pass. Yeah, let's see here. We were looking at that was through very difficult. Let's look at ball striking here through that same lens. So I think that's important too. Same guys, but guys that aren't getting carried as much with the putter. Scotty, again, where he really separates. Rory, Vic jumps up even more when you pull that out there too, because ball striking, we're taking out his around the green struggles here. Hideki, Kevin Yu. His short game is just an absolute disaster. He's losing 1 1/4, but ball striking, Kevin Yu playing pretty well. Connors, Ludwig, Lowry, Colin, Cam Young. So definitely an interesting top of the board, and some names that are continuing to pop out here for us. What else do you want to look at before we wrap?
Yeah, let's look. I think rough performance. Obviously we have. I think we can look. Overall proximity is fun to just take a quick peek at with long rough. So put that filter on, and might need to broaden the sample a little bit. We'll see, but we have overall approach proximity, and then you can also look at it specifically from the rough if you want to, get a deeper look into those ranges as well.
Yep. All right. Let's see if we get long rough last 2 years. Yeah, that's a good sample. We'll go into approach. We can go into overall proximity. We can look at approach.
Yeah, you can look at both.
All right. That's not surprising. Scotty and Hoagie, iron studs here. Scotty, Hoagie, Finau, Tom Kim, another guy adding distance for sure. Hideki, Hovland, Connors, Rory, Hubbard, Colin Morikawa, Brian Harman, Russell Henley. Overall proximity in this as well. Lucas Glover, again, who's going to lose a lot in distance in a spot like this. Victor Hovland, Scotty Scheffler, Russell Henley, Andrew Novak, JJ Spawn, Tom Kim, Akshay Bhatia, Michael Kim, played well last week, Sepp Straka, Taylor Pendrith, who Ron shouted out there earlier, Ludwig, Woodland, Rye, Berger. So in a decent sample, long, rough proximity. So yeah, again, lots of different ways that you can look at some of this stuff, long, rough, small greens, some small greens here as well. Again, you might have to kick out a sample a little bit to make that work, but probably worth looking at in some lens. Might not be with long rough, but looking at small greens can matter here quite a bit too. But that makes sense. Some names that continue to make common appearances here, repeat appearances, depending on the filter that we're doing.
Look at the pull up the overall approach too, and get a good quick view from 200 plus. And again, we have the ability to on here in the rabbit hole look at 250 plus if you want to look even the range 200 to 250. If you want to get really granular with your range buckets,
yep.
a lot of options.
And here, as you can do as well, you can go into the core stats page and get a sense of, I think approach shot distribution is important to look at to get a sense of, where is what the ranges are above average, to get a sense of, if you're going to start messing around with proximity buckets, get a sense of how frequently guys are playing for that range. And is it something that's definitely that you want to capture above just normal approach numbers, right? Are they here a lot more than they are from in a typical tour average event? So you can see here, just total 200 plus, you're, a tick above tour average, but again, almost, a quarter of your shots are coming from that, which is definitely interesting. And then total from above to, 225 to 250. That's a solid little 2% chunk above. Again, just way longer second shots on this course than normal, right? So, and then some of those are going to be layups, but a lot of guys are living in that 175 to above range comparatively. Yeah, it's just your shorter stuff you can see here being significantly off the tour average event. So overall, 150 to 200. I'm going to move this in. This is a large sample. We'll go last year. Guys are tweaking their swings all the time. It's tough. It's like you want a large sample. It takes out the noise, but then there's just so much that can happen from year to year. And you guys get new swing coaches changing their swing. Hovland's doing it every week. Rasmus, small sample comparatively. It looks like he's popping well in this. Again, another guy that's really interesting at his number. It's a little long, but again, tough fields. Rasmus, Scotty, Ludwig, Straka, Kevin Yu, Morikawa, Corey Connors, Hideki, Hovland, Berger. You go 200 plus. Spawn, Hoagie, Hovland, Rory, Bobby Mack, Ludwig, Glover, Sanjay, Connors, Cantley, Kim, which is very, very interesting. You can see some of the green across the board for these guys. It's just good to see. 200 to 250, Hovland, Spawn, Bobby Mack, Hoagie, Kim, Ludwig, Rasmus Højgaard, Mark Hubbard, who's played well here in the past. Definitely different field strength comparatively. Sanjay, Hideki, Chavarria. You can see, again, Novak there again. So some common names and some common, like, down the board DFS sprinkles maybe even, which is definitely interesting here too.
Yeah, take a quick peek at the rough. I want to see the rough from 200 plus. Again, this is Rabbit Hole is the only place you can find, this and in customizable form where you want to go back and look the last 5 years, who plays the best from the rough from 200 plus. Like you could pretty much look at any option imaginable here. Yeah,
I think 175 to 200, we're going to have a lot of as well. This, bodes well for your, Pendrith point. Sam Burns, Scotty Scheffler, more Kevin Yu, Rasmus Højgaard, Gary Woodland, Tom Hoagie, Siwoo Kim, Hideki Matsuyama, and Lucas Glover. If we go out to 200 plus rough proximity, Tom Kim, big sample. Rasmus Højgaard, Rory, Cantley, Hubbard, Glover, Finau, Zalatoris, Sanjay, Siwoo. So there's always been a spot for, Zalatoris in the past too. Was definitely a guy that people would auto click here. He's played pretty well here, flirted with it, with winning here multiple times. So another interesting name and interesting to see there too. All right. That's all I got. Anything else for us? Check out the preview.
Yeah, and for those of you on the rabbit hole this week, there's, if you go to the course pages, the course facts section, there's a section for all the different filters you could put in yourself. I know people always ask me, well, what rabbit hole filter should I use this week? On those course pages, though, there's a whole section which shows all the filters you can put in. And yeah, there's a lot of unique ones just, for this week for people, around the green proximity. You really want to focus on around the green from the rough this week. So looking at short game just from the rough, and obviously, POA putting, especially from 5 to 15 feet is another thing. I'm definitely looking at, and if you want to get even more in the weeds, and you want to look at your par 3 and your par 4 scoring, you can change those filters to difficult and just look at how players perform on difficult par 4s. I think that's a huge help as well.
Yep. You can click into this player page or this course page that we were looking at earlier. You can see more, and you can see the specifics of the event too. You can see off the tee club, driver heavy. It's difficult to gain off the tee. Fairway accuracy is difficult, right? All these specific buckets are categorized here, along with the corollary, any corollary courses. If you're looking to kind of build a corollary model there as well, in the rabbit hole, you can go in here and add courses specifically, and just kind of go from there. Filter everything through that lens as well. So that's all in here for you to click into. So pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, or if you are looking to check us out, hit us up. You can, again, PGA Splits 101 on Twitter, at Ryan Noonan on Twitter as well. Get you a discount code. If you want to check it out for a month. Month is just $29.99. If you reach out, we'll get you a code to get it even cheaper for a month to check it out. Again, the best way to go through this. Again, lots of different ways to do it. It can be intimidating. We have a great Discord where we, all the plays that we officially make go in that Discord, but it's a great community that is sweating and betting any TGL, live, LPGA. Like, we have some true, and I mean this and say this with respect, some true degenerates in the Discord, which make it a very, very enjoyable place to hang out and watch golf and sweat golf with, because someone's got action on everything. So sweating, round by round stuff, scores, Ron does a ton of matchup work, all that stuff, which we would love for you to join us. So reach out if you have any questions. We appreciate you hanging out. Betsperts Golf, wherever you listen to podcasts, Betsperts Golf on the YouTube channel. Come back. We'll do a little bit more on the betting side, specifically on Tuesday. So for Ron, I'm Ryan. We'll see you all next time.